The question I think should be asked whenever a studio pitches a sequel is, do you have a story worth telling? A lot of the time the answer is no. A lot of the time is, hey, actually, we just want to make a lot of money, right? And so when a new sequel comes out, especially if it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, like a very late installment of the franchise, people ask, is this just a cash grab, or does this have some soul to it? Does this have a story worth telling? We just got the 5th installment of the Toy Story franchise, and I came into that movie asking myself the question, or asking Pixar the question, do you have a story worth telling? My answer is yes. I think a huge benefit of waiting 7 years between Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 5 is that the world changes enough where you can adapt your film franchise into the modern era, and that's exactly what they did. Toy Story 4 was a not a great movie, right? Not a great movie, and I didn't love it. Some people do love it though, so maybe I will say that it's overall a good installment to the franchise. Even that I don't think was soulless slop, even though I don't love it, right? That still had a story worth telling. That was kind of the way that Woody gets separated from the rest of the toys, right? And him and Bo go off, and he's doing this thing where he's helping out other toys, right? And so that's a good story, right? And then you come into 5, and it's been 7 years since, actually to the day, on the day that I'm recording this, that Toy Story 4 came out. And so, obviously, one of the biggest changes that's happened in the past 7 years is technology in the home for children, right? And that's the issue that Toy Story 5 looks to tackle. I think they do it spectacularly. I think they do it awesome. And I think they have a lot of good themes and messages about tech and about the balance you have to have with your kids, and about how tech can truly destroy our kids' social lives if we aren't careful. This is a story worth telling because it genuinely has relevance for the parents and children watching it, because I am willing to bet a lot of the parents that were in my theater with their kids yesterday, my theater was sold out when I went to see it with my fiance, right? A lot of them are watching that and saying, this is exactly what's happening in my house, right? Because it's just a relevant story to tell. It's not one that is outdated, or one that you just look at and say, oh, well, this is just a story they made up just to get another movie out of this. No, this is real and this is prevalent. I know for a fact that it's relevant because like 6 or 7 seats over from me, there was a kid watching YouTube on a tablet the entire movie. During the movie. Just full brightness, no volume, thankfully, but just staring down at the screen, playing YouTube. While on the actual big screen that he's there to supposedly to watch, Bonnie is doing the exact same thing, and they are kind of trying to dissuade kids from that, right? Or dissuade families from that. I think Toy Story will always benefit from the cast, and they got it so right when they first cast the first movie, when they first cast some of the characters that came around in the second movie, because the casting in this franchise really is a huge driver of why it's been so good. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen anchor this thing. This is more Tim Allen than Tom Hanks out of those two, though, because Woody really isn't in this movie a ton. We'll talk about that later. But the biggest positive of this film from an acting perspective is Joan Cusack as Jessie. This is her story. This is her movie. Like, Woody is in this movie, he is a side character. He is probably the 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th, like, biggest character in this movie as far as lines and the screen time and stuff. Like, he plays an important role, but there's a lot of people in this film, a lot of characters in this film who just are more important to it than he is, right? But Joan Cusack is so good as Jessie. She delivers a powerful, at times emotional performance. I also really liked Conan O'Brien. He, again, not the biggest part, but when she gets to the house and she's meeting these new electronic devices that have also been thrown away, even though they are tech, showing that even the old tech has been thrown away, right? Great performance from Conan O'Brien. Showed huge acting chops, or at least voice acting chops. We kind of knew he had acting chops from If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You last year, but his range is really good in this film. He does some really cool things with his voice that I just wasn't expecting from him. I was not expecting this good of a voice acting performance from Conan. He was awesome. Craig Robinson was nice in his limited screen time or his limited lines. Really, the cast itself is just fantastic again. Like, even in the little bits that we see of Woody, Tom Hanks is great. Tim Allen is as good as ever, you know. This movie is far from perfect, and there are some negatives to it, but I think the biggest positive of these movies has always been the acting and the cast chemistry showing up even through the animation. But I think another huge positive is the animation itself, right? Animation is beautiful. It looks like a real movie. It is so good, so smooth, so high definition. The animation is insane. A beautifully created film, clearly just meticulously made. So the animation is really just fantastic. So that's another huge positive. And then obviously, again, to wrap it all around, it's a very relevant and very important story to tell, and they did it well. They didn't make Tech the giant big villain that had no redeemable qualities, because there are some ways that Tech can help you. It shows that as well. Like, there are some ways that Tech can be beneficial for your children, but it starts out by showing how Tech can be harmful, and then shows the flip side of how it can be helpful in moderation, or in ways that aren't unhealthy, right? So really just a good job of tackling the issue without outright making Tech the big bad corporate villain, but instead making it, yes, like, clear that, like, yes, like, it can be harmful, but not if you use it right? Not if you make the right decisions with it, which is eventually what happens in the movie. I think some of the biggest negatives of this movie is, one, they just kind of threw Woody in there, right? I know that he has to be in it, right? And I figured that he would have to be in it no matter what the story they're telling is. And he plays a decently important part in getting Jesse back and everything. But in reality, like, he just feels like they tossed him in. And honestly, like, this movie would have been the same without him, right? The only reason it wouldn't have been is because it's no Woody in Toy Story. You have to have Woody in Toy Story. But as a standalone film, if you took Woody out and this was Toy Story 1, this was just the first movie they had made, and there was no Woody, you wouldn't notice a thing. You wouldn't say there's something missing here, because he just isn't really a big part of the film. It's not his story. It's Jesse's story. It's Buzz's story. It's Bonnie's story for the most part. A lot of it is focused on her and her search for friendship and a social life and trying to break out of her shell a little bit. So that's a negative. I also think something that maybe I see as negative that others don't is the whole side plot of the army of high-tech Buzzes. I think it takes too long to get to the point of why they're there and what they're doing. I think there are ways that they could have done what the Buzzes did without even using them, right? I don't understand why it was such a thing that we needed to cut to every single second. I understand maybe if we show the Buzzes once and then we show them like maybe another time in the middle of the movie and then they come in and do what they do at the end, but in reality, like, they cut away to it a lot. And it doesn't necessarily work. It did not work for me. I thought that was dumb. And personally, like, I think they could have done what those Buzz Lightyear figures did with the characters who are already existing in the universe. Because they did not use the side group of toys, as you call them. You know, I forget, like Ham, the Potato Heads, you know, Forky's new wife. Those two are hilarious, by the way. Absolutely comedy gold. Slinky, you know, they don't use those characters a ton, so maybe they could have been the ones to do something instead of just a random army of high-tech Buzz Lightyear toys. That kind of threw me off a little bit, but those are like the most glaring negatives. Overall, this movie has a story worth telling. I think it is definitely not the worst of the Toy Story franchise. I have it third currently, actually, out of the 5, because I think it's a relevant story. The acting is fantastic. The animation is the best it's been in the franchise. It's only going to get better when they definitely make a 6, because Toy Story 6 is coming, whether we like it or not. I hope that they find a story worth telling. I hope that they wait long enough to find a story worth telling and don't rush it. But I think the director said they want a trilogy for both Andy and Bonnie, that Bonnie deserves a good ending. I think that they will definitely do that for her, and so that would require a 6th movie to end her trilogy. So I hope that we get that, and I hope that they wait long enough to have a relevant story. If you guys did enjoy this movie review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do everything you can to help grow the channel, and go see Toy Story 5 in theaters now. If you have kids, or even if you don't, you're just a big fan of the franchise, you're going to love this movie. So go see it. Go see it in a packed theater. Yeah, it'll have you crying if you go see it in a packed theater. So go see it in a packed theater. We'll see you guys next time.